because I know her first name is Megyn, but she really gave the R. Kelly defense.
Do you like teenage girls? When you say teenage, how old are we talking?
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Shout out to all the subscribers and the members here on the channel. Don't forget to like the video. My name is Reese Waters, and this is Who Raised Y'all, where we highlight those unique individuals going above and beyond to make society worse.
There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. You know, it's just whatever. It's sick. Because every time we start talking about Epstein, it makes your skin crawl, right? The whole thing is just disgusting.
Totally.
What in the hell?
You know, the kinds of people you'll see asking to speak to the manager at the pearly gates.
I want to talk to the manager.
Megyn Kelly. I mean, really, we was just here.
Virtually every woman I know, every woman spends a shit ton of time on her hair and wants it to look better than God made it. It's not a black thing. It's a human thing, and it's especially a woman thing, but she's always reducing everything to race.
Now what we got going on? LOL, they've renamed her to Megyn R. Kelly. I wish. She not gonna go down that route. Step. Yeah, we don't talk about him. Step. In the name of love. All right, it seems like you're ready. Let's see what this is about. Megyn Kelly concedes latest Trump Epstein emails, quote, sound bad. Why didn't Trump just release these? Former Fox News host turned right-of-center podcaster Megyn Kelly conceded on Thursday that the latest Epstein email dumps from House Democrats and Republicans sound bad for Trump. Kelly also questioned why Trump didn't just release these when he had a chance to get ahead of the scandal. She gonna be the last one. She gonna be the last one. They're gonna be turning the lights out on this administration and the annals of history, and you just gonna see two eyes poking out with a gang of foundation asking about where she can find Barack Obama. Like that's how this is all going to end. I don't know, Megyn Kelly. Why don't you tell me why he wouldn't just release these and tell me why a kid who didn't bring home their report card that they swore was all A's, why wouldn't he just bring it home? You know what I mean? Well, I don't know. You know, I'm going to go down to the school. We got that party planned for his all A's, but he didn't bring his report card home. So I'm going to go down to the school and I'm going to get his all A report card and I'm going to bring it back so we can all celebrate it. Now I see why Don Lemon said what he said about your man. Now I see. Because if you was married to Megyn Kelly, you could pretty much do anything, apparently. She ain't going to believe it. She ain't gonna believe it.
Maybe people would like you and the women would like you more if you weren't such what you said about my former colleague. And by the way, Megyn, let me just say something. Deal with your own house and tell your husband to stop looking at my husband across the room. It's weird.
Yeah, I got text message receipts of your husband contacting other women. Why wouldn't he just release these? You know what I mean? Why wouldn't he just release it? I'm not going to believe it until he release it. Then I'm going to believe it. Oh, there's more? Kelly and her guest, News Nation host Badya Ungar Sargon, later tried to defend Trump by arguing that Epstein was the one interacting with underage girls, while it appeared Trump only interacted with them once Epstein was done with them and they were older.
Shut your stupid ass up. Say that, folks.
Well, this should be trash.
We have not seen some slew of young women come forward to say, me too, on Donald Trump them or having paid for sex with them when they were barely legal or otherwise. It just hasn't happened.
Yeah, in fact, at that same press conference, the lawyer for a group of the women actually said, Jeffrey Epstein would prey upon women when they were underage, true and disgusting and horrible. And then the lawyer said, and when they came of age and he was no longer interested in them, he would then pass them on. So there was no pedophilia ring. There was a pedophile who did unspeakable things to vulnerable girls. And then they would age out of Jeffrey Epstein's pedophilic interests, at which point he would then start to pass them around to his friends, meaning that there were not actual crimes committed by anybody beyond. There's no ring. There's a pedophile and then a bunch of friends who were getting massages at that point from women who were no longer underage. This is from the lawyer at that press conference. So I think that that kind of dispels a lot of the like salaciousness of the story. People are like, where is the justice for the victims? The justice is one of the people who did unspeakable things to them died in prison, and the other one is still in prison. So like they got their justice. And the whole ring idea, I think, has been wildly blown out of proportion for these political reasons.
I don't know about ring.
Oh, I know about ring. It sounds like a cover-up ring is what it sounds like. So if I got you straight, now we want to absolve everybody that was around Jeffrey Epstein, because being a party to women that are passed on from the PDF isn't illegal and certainly not problematic at all. That is, of course, assuming that no favors or funds were exchanged, because certainly that would be illegal. So we're just in the general vicinity, in the company, at the home of, on the plane of the man who was the PDF. And we conveniently just waited until everything was above board and made sure not to exchange anything to not break the law in that regard. That's how far down the pier they are on this one. And by the way, she did mention that's according to the lawyer. Now, what is it that lawyers do exactly? Lawyers defend their client. Are lawyers in the business of trying to present both sides? Or lawyers in the business of trying to achieve justice for society? No, they're in the business of defending their client. Looks like one's getting some work right now. Hey, best of luck to you. Lawyers are in the business of pushing a very specific agenda which benefits their client. And what you have here is a News Nation host, and that moniker is hilarious. What you have is a News Nation host parroting what a lawyer said. So thank you, News Nation, for coming on down and being a part of this whole ring. And if you think that absolving everybody around Jeffrey Epstein was as far as Megyn Kelly was willing to go, oh, you don't know her pick-me game at all. Megyn Kelly suggests Epstein wasn't an actual PDF if victims went through puberty. Conservative host Megyn Kelly suggested she didn't initially believe Epstein was an actual PDF because he reportedly victimized girls age 15 and older. I wouldn't have believed it if there wasn't video.
As for Epstein, I've said this before, but just as a reminder, I do know somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything. Not everything, but virtually everything. And this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a this is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls. And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts. That he wasn't into like 8-year-olds, but he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were, but would look legal to a passerby.
Okay, it's definitely disgusting and you're not making excuses for it, but you're giving a pretty lengthy explanation for it. So why would we be hearing this if you're not making it? You're going to have to do a lot of cleaning up on the back end of this one.
That is what I believed, and that was what I reliably was told for many years. And it wasn't until we heard from Pam Bondi that they had tens of thousands of videos of alleged, forgive me, they used to call it, now they call it, on his computer, that for the first time I thought, oh, no, he was an actual, I mean, only a gets off on young videos. She's never clarified it. I don't know whether it's true. I have to be honest. I don't really trust Pam Bondi's word on the Epstein matters anymore. Yeah, so I don't know what's true about him, but we have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was I was under 10. I was under 14 when I first came within his purview. Look, you can say that's a distinction without a difference.
No, it's not.
I think there is a difference. Yeah. There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. Yeah. You know, it's just whatever.
I said she could go further. I didn't think she would go that far. I didn't think she would go, because they did the whole absolving everybody around Epstein. He was the monster, but everybody else was just innocently taking girls that were passed on. They were sitting there just waiting on a clock to run out. I thought she could go further than that. I didn't, in fact, think that she would go this far. Just to recap, what we have seen so far, we have seen pictures of them partying together. We've seen pictures of Melania and Epstein as well. We've seen the birthday book. We have heard about the Polaroids being dropped on the table. We just heard about the DOJ telling the GOP that the Epstein files were worse than we thought. We heard about him spending hours, Trump spending hours with the accuser. And we also have the preferential treatment that's been granted to Ghislaine Maxwell. And you want to ask why he wouldn't have just released these things, absolve everybody around Jeffrey Epstein, and now we're working on absolving Epstein himself. That is the lengths that Megyn Kelly is willing to go to carry Donald Trump's water. One thing, Megyn Kelly is not a reporter. A reporter would at least go to Google and discover the age of consent is between 16 and 18 in all 50 states. 15 is statutory. Yes, that is correct. There is a difference when it comes to school. There certainly is a difference between 15 and 8 when it comes to sports. Not the law. Not the law. And that's what we're talking about here. Does Megyn Kelly have a daughter? Chris Hansen would like a word. And Child Protective Services might want to check in on the Megyn Kelly household. Apparently, some of the very clear lines that we have drawn in society, she's willing to redraw just so she can keep her proximity to power.
Dear Megyn Kelly and any other woman who is going to attempt to reclassify, redefine the type of predator that Jeffrey Epstein was, this is for you. When you say that there's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old, of course there is. What is not different is that they are both children. Okay? Just so that you are aware, child is typically defined when the child is under the age of 13 and the perpetrator is at least 5 years older than they are. Okay? Or If that child is over the age of 13 and still a minor, and the perpetrator is 10 years or more older than them. So, no matter how you slice this very disgusting cake you are trying to serve, Jeffrey Epstein and anyone else that engaged in this atrocious activities with him, including Ghislaine, they are child. I'm not going to argue semantics with you over pedophilia, but child predators is absolutely what they are. I hope that clears it up. And God in heaven, I hope you don't have daughters.
And by the way, that's not going to be new information to Megyn Kelly. Oh no, she has acknowledged just how problematic these kinds of relationships are in the past. So what we can draw is a distinction from who she was and who she's become.
You know, you feel as a victim, you feel a victim. To people who are going to be out there, because you know some are going to judge and say you were 15, you were 16, you were 17, you were a willing participant. Again, the legal age of consent in California is 18, so there's no consenting for a 14 or even a 17-year-old in these circumstances.
If you think about it, Roger Ailes was actually a gentleman. He only liked women of legal age. Now, we're not allowed to mention or acknowledge that, no, because that would make her look bad for trying to slut shame other women on the other side of the aisle. You know, the old school pick me Megyn Kelly behavior. That's just something on her pick me resume, trying to slut shame other women when she went through the whole Roger Ailes thing. And don't even make me Brit Hume. No, we not. I know. I know about the whole. Yeah, I know. Yeah. No, because I couldn't sleep for weeks behind that Brit Hume. So no, we're not going to bring that up.
Here you're working your tail off, and now there's this rumor swirling that you and Brit Hume having an affair. They're calling you Hume Wrecker. What were you thinking?
But what I will bring up is this isn't even the first time Megyn Kelly has tried to make this kind of argument.
I had a couple of conversations with somebody very close to the Epstein case, like very close to it, who shall go nameless.
Okay, first things first, which definitely needs to be acknowledged, and shout out to Michael Harriet. I have a very good friend who knows almost everything about this ring is wild statements. It is. Not only do you have this friend, apparently you regularly converse with this friend, and you don't see anything wrong with repeating what this friend is telling you. Those are, you know, those are problems I don't have. I can tell you that right now. Now, I'm good without the information.
And this person swore to me.
Acosta?
No, that there's.
He could talk too. He knows shit too.
That he wasn't this quote.
Right.
That he was into like 16, 17-year-old girls.
Yeah.
But that wasn't exactly his thing. And that pretty much every famous celebrity was friends with him and went on his jet.
Yeah.
But that at most, all they were getting was like the so-called massages from these 16, 17-year-olds as opposed to like a ring.
Yeah.
Now, I don't...
16, 17 is for me.
Well, at least Andrew Schultz had the decency to back away. I can't even give you that, Megyn Kelly, because this is where we sit today.
Megyn Kelly got on Fox and was like, it's not like Epstein liked 5-year-olds, not even 8-year-olds. Some of these girls were 15 and a half. And I have to know, who does she think that was for? Like, who was on the fence? Like, oh, they weren't in kindergarten, they're 15. Oh, well, okay, that's fine. Who was that? Who was your target when you said that?
Trump was her audience. That was an audience of one. She's willing to throw away the goodwill and the trust of everybody that has believed in her to make sure she communicates her willingness to pick me. Let's make that clear.
Megyn Kelly is not very nuanced. So one of the few times she brings up nuance is when discussing I'm going to side-eye you. That's gross.
Megyn Kelly has all the nuance of an insecure bull in a china shop. She has all the nuances of Trump destroying the East Wing of the White House to build a ballroom during a government shutdown. That's all the nuance that she has.
Because a child is something that's very black and white, or black then white, if you're talking about Michael Jackson. No, just he was acquitted, but I have questions. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, who is on the fence anymore? Not even with just the Epstein thing, but like that combined with like MAGA or Trump. Like, Donald Trump could unhinge his jaws and swallow Hillary Clinton whole like a Burmese python, and his polling numbers would be the same. New York Times would print some BS article like liberal hypocrisy. Democrats say they want to feed people using SNAP and food programs, but refuse to become the food themselves for our snake god. I personally like the snake god. I see a lot of myself in him. We're both practically spineless.
And that was a wonderful way to land this particular video, because the question remains just how problematic this will be for Trump. And to restate the question that I ended the last Epstein video, who all will involve themselves in trying to help him overcome the nastiest of allegations? Because we've seen how the media move during the government shutdown. Hell, we've seen how the media has been moving all year when it comes to Trump. And pretty much any addressing of Epstein or this file that doesn't outline all of the things that we've seen up to this point is a lie. Megyn Kelly, I don't care about Trump getting handsy with somebody 20 years ago. I want someone who will close the border and someone who will keep boys out of my daughter's sports, which he has.
I don't give a shit about Trump getting handsy with somebody 20 years ago. I want someone who will close the border, which he has. I want someone who will keep boys out of my daughter's sports, which he has. I want someone who will stand up to the insane DEI policies so that white kids will stop hearing in school that they're born with some original sin from which they cannot recover, which he has.
Ah, yeah, that's right. I didn't even get a chance to address that because there was so much insanity, a lot of which you supplied over the course of the past year. I didn't even really get to properly sit and drag. I don't care if he got handsy with somebody 20 years ago. I just want the border closed and men out of my daughter's sports. Let's not forget to mention that particular one. So if it's okay for Trump to get handsy 20 years ago, then it would certainly be okay for him to get handsy now. And if it's okay for Trump, then why wouldn't it be okay for men at large? So tell me again about how protected you want your daughter's sports to be, because that might be the only place she's protected.
As more and more emails from the Epstein files drop, I think that Republicans are sitting in a spot where they got one or two options. They can either do the political calculus of recognizing that, at least in the House, every single one of them is up for re-election in 2026, that they'll have to go back to their constituents and explain to them why they would protect a PDF file. Or they can take the Megyn Kelly approach.
A phenomenal point. Republicans, MAGAs, now have to decide whether or not all of the talking that they did about the Epstein files, all the conspiracy theories they've had, all of the rabbit holes they ran down to protect children, the fact that calling somebody a PDF is literally always in the back of their throat. Now they have to stand on whether or not that is something that they actually feel and care about, or they want to sign themselves up to be not only hypocrites, but completely amoral and devoid of further participation in our political discourse. just to keep that red hat. There you go.
In every way, shape, and form, this is disgusting. She is using her platform to try to draw a distinction that absolves Jeffrey Epstein of being the monster that he is, in hopes, it is abundantly clear, of down the line absolving Donald Trump for his connection, relationship, and involvement with the activities of Jeffrey Epstein, allegedly. These young women were kidnapped, trafficked, pimped out by every definition, experiencing SA. And they were also underage. And you want to talk to me about somehow there's a distinction here? I also think it's very fascinating that when the Republican group chat leaked, those were just kids, even though some of the people in that group chat were older than me. And now we're talking about these victims somehow being like fully grown women.
Oh, yes. And we are no stranger to the when they're kids and when they're not kids. No, we're definitely no stranger to that. Yeah. The fact that we are always considered adults, right? As young as 12. Isn't that right? We are always considered, we're no stranger to that whole bending of logic and reason and consistency. We've seen that before.
There are a lot of things that I dislike about Megyn Kelly and her platform, but if this isn't a thing that should disqualify her from continuing to speak, I don't know what is. There's no way to defend this and it not make you disgusting. And as more and more of this information comes out, that's the calculus that people who have supported Trump are going to have to do. I just don't see this working out well for them. Because I know her first name is Megyn, but she really gave the R. Kelly defense.
Do you like teenage girls? When you say teenage, how are we talking?
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Imagine being a victim of Jeffrey Epstein or one of the people around Jeffrey Epstein. And you have to hear from Megyn Kelly that it was different. It was different because you were too old. Not an adult, but just past an arbitrary line that would protect and absolve one of Epstein's buddies who wants this all to go away. And that's happening against the backdrop of you seeing virtually no justice up to this point. And in fact, the only one that has been held accountable is sitting in a camp in Texas getting what's called concierge service. And this is what Megyn Kelly gives us. Excuse me. I got a question. Ain't this the same lady who lose her mind every other day about Michelle Obama?
It's amazing. Every word she says about Barack Obama is negative. I can't think of her sitting there just waxing poetic about him, complimenting, he's brilliant, he's a great dad, he was the greatest president, whatever a normal wife of Barack Obama would say.
Oh, yes, that is correct. So Michelle Obama couldn't write a book and talk about her experiences with her hair and her dealings with the media and how they characterize Black women and how they present themselves. She couldn't do that without you losing your mind. You come back the very next week and want to talk about how it's okay that men were passed on after they had aged out of Jeffrey Epstein's interests to protect Trump. That's a real thing that happened.
Republicans are now trying to justify. Megyn Kelly goes on to say, I know somebody very close to the case, Jeffrey Epstein, and this person's view was not a He was into barely legal type. Like, he liked 15-year-old girls. He wasn't into, like, 8-year-olds. There is a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. I don't know if it's just me, but last time I checked, no matter the fucking age, how the fuck are you trying to justify this shit? Either way, you are attracted to someone that is not fully developed. This has to be one of the worst timelines we are on, because we can't really be in this space where it's like, well, the difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old is a big thing. He likes them they look a little bit like an adult. You don't want them to look like a full-on kid. Like, this person should not even be able to have a platform going forward. Like, how the is anyone trying to justify this?
I have no idea how anybody's trying to justify this, but I do know if anybody would try, it would be Megyn Kelly. The same woman who we've heard virtually nothing from addressing the growth of Christian nationalism and their plans for women in the kitchen. Not that I've seen her try and take her show there. Ever. Yeah, that's the kind of person that would try and justify this. But this is the problem, Megyn Kelly. Pick me only ends one way. It only ends one way. And unfortunately, the same week that you came out to try and throw your own credibility and your own name and your own show on the craps table to protect the nastiest of crimes, they couldn't do the same for you. After email release, Trump calls on DOJ to probe Democrats tied to Epstein. President Trump said he's asking the Justice Department and the FBI to investigate Democrats linked to Epstein, including former President Bill Clinton, who he alleged spent large portions of their life with the disgraced financier. Now tell me, Megyn Kelly, what would be the reason for Trump to send the Department of Justice to investigate Democrats, and specifically Bill Clinton, if there was no ring? Because you just told me that everybody had aged out of his interest and apparently into legality. You didn't say that, but that was the assumption that was given for there to be nothing untoward. You just told me that everybody just sat and waited until Simon Says and everything was all good. But now there's an investigation into Trump. Now, into Clinton? Why would there be a need for an investigation into Clinton if there was nothing untoward? That would be absurd. That would be absurd. That would be kind of like, calling this whole thing a hoax and we're supposed to ignore it. Like calling the whole thing a hoax and then conducting a DOJ investigation. Because we're supposed to ignore that. You're conducting a DOJ investigation into a hoax. Well, the good news, at least for those that are sane with basic logic and reason and deduction skills, the good news is Megyn Kelly has not been an arbiter of American discourse on Epstein. In other words, we call cat.
What does the American public think about how Donald Trump has been handling the Epstein files compared to all the other issues that he brought up during the campaign?
Yeah, Donald Trump is underwater on basically every single issue he ran on in 2024. But the Epstein files, the Epstein case, are especially dreadful for him. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look at Trump's not approval rating on the issue. Look, they're all in red. They're all in the negative territory. But on immigration, he's 5 points underwater. Foreign policy, 8 points. Trade and tariffs, he's 17 points. The economy, 18 points. But look at the Epstein case. He is 39 points below water on the Epstein case. His net approval is 39 points in the negative. My goodness gracious. What Donald Trump has been selling on the Epstein files, the Epstein case, the American people, simply put, have not been buying at all, Sarah Seidner.
That's rough, Megyn Kelly. That's rough. You did all that. And I can tell you this, no matter how this ends, we gonna have this footage. We gonna have this footage and we gonna see exactly what you tried to do. You too, Batya. We gonna have this footage. Ain't nobody tell you sit there and co-sign Megyn Kelly. You were doing as much talking as she was. Good luck. Starting with these PTA meetings. These PTA, don't go to the game. Don't. Ain't that the one that said 15? Ain't that her? Hey, go get Jasmine. Yeah, go get. Yeah, no, we gonna leave early. No, we good. We saw the clip. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Y'all still booing Trump? It's been days. No, you good, but just quiet down. I'm trying to make some content over here. I gotta give a quick shout out to my editors that have been absolutely killing it. My man Denzel, as well as Boz, who's been coming through crucial. However, they could use some help.
Help me! Help me!
You know, some reinforcements, a day off every now and again.
I'm so tired, but also hungry.
I should probably feed them and get them some fresh air every now and again. That probably would be good. I know it's been a while since I solicited for help, but I might be reaching out to some of you guys. So if you get an email like weeks after you reached out to me, don't be alarmed. And of course, if you have a particular set of skills and would like to join the team, hit me up at admin@ReeseWaters.com. Speaking of joining the team, congratulations to all of our members. We just recently hit 3,000. And you know what that means? No, not like the movie Mr. 3000. Although I will take Bernie Mac's career arc though. I will take that. No, it means a members live. Y'all remember how crazy it got last time.
Nasty bitch.
So be on the lookout for notifications for that, as well as discounts on merch. And yes, we got some new stuff out there. Is that a Kamala was right and a release the files? Oh, it's going to be FAFO when I hit the streets in this. I'm going to kill them this wintertime. Speaking of merch, no, I'm getting to you, Lee. I'm getting to you, Lee. I received this email from my man, Lee, who said, discouraged, depleted, can't find merch to meet it. Hey, Reese team, I woke up this morning ready to bless my closet with some Reese Waters gear, had my card out, playlist on, and my confidence high. I hit the site and got hyped to see those dope t-shirts and hoodies. That North Carolina blue RWT fire, the black discouraged, depleted, but never defeated shirt. Instant classic. Now, the racism shirt, man, that segment alone deserves its own museum wing. Though Who Raised Y'all, which needs its own shirt, might be tied for first. But here's my problem. None, and I mean none of the shirts or hoodies come in 3XL. That's a personal attack on my confidence and my brisket intake. I'm a proud black man living in Arkansas, so you already know the struggle and the appetite. Can the 3XL brethren get some love too? I'm speaking on behalf of the discouraged, depleted, but never defeated, but definitely well-fed sized members of the channel. As somebody who used to always ask the clerks at Marshall's if this shirt came in bird chest, I know exactly what you mean, and that is something we will absolutely work on. Thank you so much for reaching out. You can always hit me up at admin@ReeseWaters.com. I'm going to be hitting you guys up for some year-end awards. More on that a little bit later, but as well as a Thanksgiving video, which I would like your input on as well. So check out the polls. You can catch them in the community tab, also via email. Is there any room left in the booing? Y'all got space? Upper deck? I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll be back. Boo! I ain't been this proud of DC since we won the Stanley Cup.